What's going on, guys? It's Logan and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little different than usual. I think I said this in the last video, but it's true. Today we're going to be talking about MTV's Scream. Now, this is a show that I think is super underrated. I understand why it's not big. I understand the hate it gets, but I think people just need to understand and respect the positives more than they hate and don't respect the negatives. And sometimes you just need to sit back and just enjoy a show. You know, a show's not going to be an Oscar-worthy show where the performances, the writing, and the directing, everything's on point. This isn't a show that is like that. It's more of just a kind of laid-back show that you just want to watch for pure entertainment. You know what I mean? Just to simply enjoy. And today I'm going to dive into why I think it's one of the most underrated shows out there. Now, before we actually dive into the pros and cons of the show, I just want to say, you know, if you're not a fan of like teenage dramas, you know, like Vampire Diaries and stuff like that, this isn't going to be for you. And if you're not a fan of horror, you know, blood, guts, and gore, because it is a, you know, Scream TV show based off of the film, then this is also not for you. So if you're not really into that kind of stuff, you're probably not going to enjoy it. But if you are, this is for you. Let's kind of start out with the negatives. You know, there's a lot with it. Obviously, I think the show might have a lot more negatives than positives when it comes to a lot of people out there. For me, it's not, but I can understand that there's a lot more cons than pros. And a lot of that has to do with, but that's expected with any teenage drama. But when it comes to my next con, which is pacing, that's something that they could have did a little better. This show in there's 3 seasons. The 3rd season is actually a reboot, and we're not talking about that one. I don't like that. That season's a little rough. I'm not the biggest fan of that one. I think they should have continued the storyline from season 1 and season 2, but that's a whole other story. But in season 1 and season 2, the pace is a little weird. There's really good episodes, and then there's like 3 or 4 episodes that just drag on. And there's a really good episode, and then it drags on for another 2 episodes, and there's a really good episode. So that's like what this show is. It's really solid. It picks up, you know, it gets momentum, it picks up the pace, and then you kind of like, you figure something out. Then it plays back again. And like, I understand why it's doing that. A lot of it has to do with one of the positives I'm going to talk about here in a second regarding Brandon James. But it's like, I don't know, the pacing is just thrown off so much in this show. And that's not really a knock at the writers or anything like that. That's going to happen in a show. Especially in a show like this where it's a mystery, you know what I mean? You have to build up all these different storylines for the audience to kind of start to kind of make up their own conclusions on who the killer is or killers are, and that kind of thing. So it makes sense on why the pacing wasn't that great, but it is kind of annoying when you have a couple really good episodes and then half the season is just kind of a drag, and then you finally get a really good episode again. But to be honest, that's really my only big like cons with this show. Like I said, the writing can be cheesy, which is expected when you have this type of show, and the pacing is thrown off a little bit. But other than that, let's get into the positives, man, because this show, while it does have its negatives, just is incredible at some other aspects. So for me, there's 2 huge positives in this show. Number 1, the cast and characters. Without this cast, this show would have probably flopped. This cast, man, the directors and producers did such a good job casting for this show. They carry this show on their back, man. We could talk about Willa Fitzgerald, man. She plays Emma Duvall, the main character, man. She is great. I don't like her in season 2. She's a good actress. She does a good job in season 2, but I don't like her character in season 2. But season 1, Emma is awesome. You know, she does her role so well, and you know, she really does do a good job at being the main character in the show. And there's 2 characters that I just absolutely adore and love in this show, and that is Audrey and Noah. Audrey's played by Bex Taylor Claus, and then you have Noah played by John Carter. Man, those 2 do such a great job, man. Their chemistry, the way they bounce off one another, it's something that you can't write up. And they steal the show every time they come on screen. And Noah Foster, man, John Carter, dude, my favorite actor in the show. I've seen some of his other stuff since then. He's a great actor, very versatile. He can really stretch out and do different characters, and I didn't think he would be able to be honest, with the way that he played this role. But no, he's a great actor, man, and he did such a good job in this one, and just did a phenomenal job. So big shout out to those two as well. They really stole the show. My two favorite characters, and that's pretty much everybody's two favorite when they watch it. And then you have Carlson Young. She does a phenomenal job as well playing Brooke. She's great. She's done a couple other projects since then. It's crazy that none of these actors or actresses have really blossomed out and done like crazy things. They've been consistent working actors and actresses, but they haven't done anything crazy, which is just surprising because I think they're really, really solid. And then we have the guy who plays Kieran. I'm trying to say his name. Amadeus, I think is how you say it. I'm probably butchering that. This dude's great. Kieran is one of my favorite characters in the entire show. He is just, I don't know, man. He has this feel about him. They try to make him creepy, but then you start to kind of come around to him a little bit. And he's a really, really fun character, really good actor, did a great job with the role. He has some really good character development. And that's another thing, man. The character development is unbelievably good. I mean, you could tell that without this cast, like I said, the show wouldn't be as big as it is now. And you have to give a lot of that credit also to the writers. They developed these characters really well, and they worked hand in hand with these actors and actresses, and you really see that happen on screen, and just a great job overall with the character development, man. Because like I said, you're going to love characters in Season 1 that you hate in Season 2, or you're going to hate characters in Season 1 that you love in Season 2. And I think that's just, it's so much fun to see that. And I think one of the characters that has probably the most character development is Audrey. She is basically the forefront of Season 2, which is really, really fun to watch. And she just does such a good job, taking that on. Emma's still the main character, but Audrey's definitely sharing that screen time with Emma for sure, which is great because she's a fan favorite, and I think she definitely deserves it. And they all just did such a good job when it comes to character development and portraying those characters. And speaking of giving credit to the writers and producers and everybody behind the show, the showrunner, man, this storyline is unbelievably good. What I love about it is it's not just a typical, hey, there's a murder on the loose, people keep popping up dead, try to figure out who it is, like every Scream movie. What I love about this show is it brings in a little twist, right? You have the Brandon James lore, which is awesome. Now, Brandon James is this kid. He was deformed in the face, so he was kind of the outsider, very Jason-like, which I think is what they were going for. Very Friday the 13th, and then he just kind of goes crazy one day and kills, I think, 6-7 people back in, I think, the 90s or late 80s. I think it's early 90s. Kills a bunch of people, and that's kind of been stuck within this town since then. People do, like, Brandon James jokes, stuff like that. And the reason that's so important, that lore, is because the killers, I'm not trying to spoil that, in this show wear the Brandon James surgical mask because they try to put his face back together. So that's a really fun take on it, and people obviously suspect Brandon James. He might still be alive because they quote unquote killed him after the events that happened. It's really, really fun. I love it, and Emma, I'm not going to spoil it. Emma is connected to Brandon James in some way, and it's crafted amazingly and beautifully. And I think, and obviously, there's hiccups. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this story's perfect by any means, but it is done really, really well. For that teenage drama type show, man, it's done really, really well. I mean, you take away that Brandon James lore, the show, even with this cast, is nowhere near as good. You take away the cast, but keep the Brandon James lore, it's nowhere near as good. I think the combination of a really, really solid cast and good character development and the fun Brandon James stuff going on really makes a fun show. And like I said, I'm not saying the show is perfect once again, so don't get your expectations high if you haven't seen it yet. But man, it is really solid for what it was going for. Which is why it's so disappointing that they just didn't go on after Season 2. Season 2, it was a great ending. I didn't like Season 2 as much as Season 1, but there wasn't really that big of a drop-off. There was a little bit of a drop-off, but not really too crazy. And now you open the door for so many opportunities at the end of that season. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So why not go a certain route? You know what I mean? I don't know, man. That person, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That person who killed that guy could have been anybody. You could go so crazy with that. But I don't know why they didn't go forward with it. I've researched Season 3 rumors, and most of the cast said that they'd be okay with coming back and doing another season. And if that's so, I want to see it. So let's do it, MTV. Do something. Whoever has the rights now. I don't think it's MTV anymore. I don't know. I don't know how MTV even have the rights for it, but that's besides the point. We need, I don't care if it's a movie. I don't care if it's a short film with all of them coming back. Just do something. Make this a fun story. Do another season. I guarantee it'll get some reputation, especially with Scream 6 coming out. You know what I mean? And people are going to be like, oh, well, yeah, you can't do a TV show and a movie at the same time within the same franchise, but you can. That's what they're doing right now with Friday the 13th. They're coming out with Crystal Lake, I believe, is it next year or is it this year? It might be, I think it's later this year, on Paramount Plus, I believe, but they just announced that they're going to be doing a movie as well. So you got a TV show and a movie. So if Friday the 13th is going to do that, well, I can't Scream do that. Just do something. Give us something. The way they ended it was on a huge cliffhanger. Hate when shows do that. Hate when movie franchises do that. So give us something else. You know what I mean? Give us a little treat. We need it. And if you're a MTV Scream TV show fan, you 100% agree with me. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. Videos shouldn't be too long. But like I said, this show isn't phenomenal. It isn't Oscar worthy, but it is a really solid show for what they were going for, and I thought they executed it in a really good way. I watched this show 3 years ago, and I've seen it 3 times. So I've watched it every year. It's a show that I always kind of come back to in like November, you know, October, September, around the fall time. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, give it a like. Comment down below if you have seen it, what you think about the show. What do you rate it on a 1 to 10? I mean, for me, like, on pure enjoyment, I'd probably give it, like, an 8 out of 10. If we're talking, like, you know, like, how well it's made, the quality, I might go down about a 6.5, you know, but I watch it just for pure enjoyment, so it's an 8, maybe 8.5 for me. I really like the show. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Go watch it. If you are new and you just searched up, you know, Scream MTV series because you're a fan, subscribe. Why not? And let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see next. If you guys want to see, I could even do a video where I break down like what I would want to see in a season 3 of Scream, or a season 4 now, but you know, a direct sequel to the 2nd season because the 3rd season was a reboot. You know, that whole thing's a mess. But anyway, yeah, you guys let me know what you want to see next. Appreciate everybody watching. Like I said, give this video a like if you're new, subscribe, and I'll see all you guys next time. Love y'all.